Merritt?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Vansickle?
Yes.
All right, let's approve the agenda. If you don't mind.
So moved. Second.
Britton? Yes. Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Vansickle? Merritt?
Yes. All right, we've got some student celebrations.
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 times a year, we invite our activities that have been successful to come, and it is fall activities time. Reed is unable to be with us tonight, but Derek has a list of people either for our athletics and or for our activities that did well during the fall season. So he's going to go ahead and read some names, and if they are here, I'm going to go ahead and present the certification and award for them. So, Derek, do you want to go ahead and get started with names?
Sure. I will start with football. We had 2 members of the first team all defense or all district defense team. That would be Caden Dudley and Carson Muggenberg. We had 3 that were second team all district defense. We had Dylan Moe, Ryder Eklund, and Braden Miller.
Braden. Wow.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Braden.
We had 2 that were second team all district offense. That'd be Weston Sundell and Alex Jones. And then Landon Alexander was named the district defensive MVP. He's outstanding. For volleyball, we had Aubrey Leonard was named first team defensive specialist, and Olivia Coleman was second team all conference. And then cross country, Thomas Bergstrom, state qualifier, second team all conference, and Miles Tremblay was state qualifier, second team all conference as well. For the band, WCAC honor band, we had Mackenzie Spencer as flute piccolo, Henry Russo was percussion, Imani Swan was trombone, Anna Wilson was for the flute, Glenda Moody was percussion, Ava Wolwin was trombone, and then Ella Anderson was for clarinet. And then finally, we had choir, honor choir. Beck Anderson got Iowa All-State Chorus. Maddie Ellis got Iowa All-State Chorus first alternate. Jude Cliff was Iowa All-State Chorus. And then the rest were on the honor choir, which would be Ella Dutcher, Elias Engelman.
Elias.
Bailey Gears, Maddie Shoemaker, Greta Seiler, Hunter Stockman, Jane Bernard, Eleanor Winger, Wyatt Widman, and Anna Wilson. So we had quite the representation from Ogden. So,
Thank you. Let's go ahead and put our hands together for the students. A lot of individuals being recognized. I think a lot of times we will find that our students are highly involved in extracurriculars, and I think with that, there's research that shows if they're involved in extracurriculars, a lot of times they're going to be doing well in the classroom. So appreciative of our students. I think it's a pretty strong reflection of the great things that are going on in our programs.
Definitely. Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Congrats.
Great job, guys. All right. Principal reports.
So we actually were talking today, and our report seems very much in alignment and sharing the same thing. So we're just going to go back and forth together if that's okay. Great. So in both buildings, as we wrapped up first semester, just had some fun activities for students. So at the elementary, thanks to both sets of boosters providing some money for us to sponsor and 47 parent volunteers throughout the day, we were able to send our pre-K through 5th graders to just do a little bit of bowling and have fun, and have just had a lot of really positive feedback that it was just a little snippet of time, but a lot of students had never had the opportunity to go bowling before, and if they had bowled before, maybe not with a group of their peers. So just sending every student out the door before winter break, having a positive experience together was a great way to wrap up the semester.
At the middle school, we wrapped up. Traditionally, they go to Hidden Acres every year at the end of the first semester. Last year, we weren't able to go until the end of the third quarters because they had some construction going on. But Hidden Acres is a fun time to celebrate with the middle school. They've got swimming, they've got billiards, they've got foosball and jousting and 9-square basketball courts. Fun time for them to go and celebrate and have fun. We also wrap up basketball at the end of the first semester before Christmas, and our teams got snowed out on their last game of the season. So to try to celebrate those kids, this last Thursday and Friday, we had staff versus girls basketball on Thursday, staff versus boys basketball on Friday. We had the entire middle school in there, and it was a lot of fun. So
Who won?
fun way. I think in the girls' game, the girls won. In the boys' game, the staff won all of them. I was not here on the Thursday. I do know that when I played the Suns team, we won 12-5. And I remind them of that. And then also to kind of celebrate with the staff, Mr. Hire puts on Surprise and Delight at the end of the year. And we had some fun Christmas games where we all got together over at the elementary building. They've had some fun little games with trivia. There's a lot of fun for the staff to get together and just kind of enjoy each other's stuff.
As far as for learning and thinking about our district focus and professional development around the framework, both buildings have spent a lot of time, either in their grade level teams or content specific teams, unpacking standards and really looking vertical across the district. And we were reflecting just about how much after working with students all day, teachers really digging in and thinking through what they're teaching, thinking about the rigor of that, and then looking about where do students come to them for their class or their grade level, and then what they're preparing for moving into that next item of coursework. And just when you think about that vertical piece, you don't want to have something where everybody's focusing on that same piece, but you also don't want to create what's called Swiss cheese where we're missing things for that next component. So our staff are really digging in and focused on that framework and learning and hoping to see some continued great results for students.
And then for the vertical alignment with the curriculum work, in a small school like Ogden, sometimes you're the only one teaching Algebra 1 or the only one teaching 8th grade social studies. We have our group, our teachers working in, we call them vertical alignment teams. So it's a 6-12 department. So all of our social sciences people are working on unpacking 6th grade standards and 7th grade standards and working together on identifying essential standards. One, it helps that teacher that's the only one teaching that grade level to have somebody else to bounce ideas off of that are knowledgeable in the content area. But also it allows high school teachers to have a better understanding of the content that's covered before they get to it. Or for our middle school teachers to talk with high school teachers about their standards, where do we need to get our kids so that they can be successful when they get to the second or the high school level.
And then in both buildings, really over the next couple of weeks, we're in that winter benchmarking assessment window. So in the areas of literacy and math, students are taking their K through 8th grade are taking their winter screening, which will allow us to stop and see kind of the health of our system, but also to change or modify any interventions that we have going on for students to best match still.
In the secondary level, we're trying to catch up to where the elementary is in terms of the MTSS process, and we talked about that a lot during the first semester. These data meetings and the data that we collect in the FAST bridge goes a long ways to help you determine some of those kids that need more intense interventions. I will say that our MTSS process is working through the hard work of our teachers that are on those MTSS groups, but also making sure that we're using advisory time to benefit the academics. We actually got done with the first semester. We had 0 kids that were considered ineligible for second semester, which is a testament to the hard work not only of the kids, but especially the adults working to make sure that they're successful.
Then we were just talking about how quickly the year seems to be going, so just excited to be back at the start of second semester and just really seeing all departments across the district, no matter what role people are serving, that people are back ready to go. And I just think across both buildings, keeping students at the forefront to help them be successful.
And I will say, shout out to not only Reed and Jesse and the coaches for putting on our wrestling. We had thousands, like literally thousands of people in our building. Also to our custodial staff, because they put the building together after Friday night's JV tournament. So it looked like they were walking to a clean building on Saturday morning. And then again, after they were up here yesterday on a Sunday working, cleaning the building. And so our kids had a clean place in their hands. So just kudos to Billy and his team, because they did outstanding.
Good stuff. Anybody have a question?
I was just going to ask on the winter screening, is that just something we do internally that you've decided
hey, let's get prepared, or this is a state level thing? What requires it?
So from the state, you have a bank of assessments that you're able to give that are approved,
Okay,
but 3 times a year, kindergarten or grade.
this is one of the 3 that we
Correct.
have. Okay.
We would do a fall, winter, and spring benchmark.
Gary, you said something regarding nobody was ineligible for the next semester. What is a normal number? What has been in the past?
That's a good question. I believe. So it's interesting we run an eligibility at the quarter, and then we also run it at the semester.
When you say eligibility, are you talking
Failing a class.
Okay,
So
and that means no extracurricular.
yeah, so there's state rules, and then we also have Ogden rules. So failing a class at semester, you're sitting for a certain amount of time until you get your grade up. I want to, gosh, I can't think off the top of my head, but it's
2 or 3,
10.
4. Yeah. Oh, really?
It would be probably maxing it out.
Mhm.
5 would probably be a normal number. That's be guessing. I mean,
Gives a ballpark.
I'd have to
anyways.
look at it. We have
Sounds
not
right
had
to me.
0 since I've been here, so we were celebrating the 0 that we had.
Yeah, that's a good number.
Sounds right to me based on first semester. Thinking through. Any other questions? All right, let's move on to consent agenda. Were there any questions about that before we approve? Look pretty standard to me. Okay, if not, I'll take a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right, moving on to action items. Early retirement. If you'll remember, we approved the application for this a couple months ago. Joshua, you want to explain about that?
Absolutely. So I'm going to present to you guys, or in your guys' packet, you guys have the names of 4 individuals that submitted paperwork for early retirement. Happy for them. And honestly, with that being said, there's 108 years of experience in Ogden with this. That is irreplaceable. When you look at the knowledge, the experience, the number of lives that they have impacted over their tenure. So I'm happy for them in the next chapter of their life. But really, when you look at it, this is with management and the usage of those management dollars, it will able to save on the general year after year after year after year. So the dollars and figures that you guys saw in your packet that Melissa had prepared for you would be a management expenditure. We fully intend our programming and our staffing plan is due in February, but we fully intend on replacing these staff members. But just with the rate that they are, the salary that they are, and then ultimately we expect to probably save around $80,000 on an annual basis in the general. So really happy for Billy Glenn, Michelle Cruz, Diane Nichols, and Marsha Peterson. Those are the 4 individuals that turned in their paperwork prior to that January 2nd deadline.
I was trying to remember, we were going to cap it at a certain number. Was that
6.
was 6? Was the number?
Yeah, we had capped it at 6, and there was, I believe, 15 that were initially eligible, and we received 4 to turn in the paperwork.
2 of those teachers taught me, so
I agree.
yeah, I know how old I am, so I get it. Sad to see him go, but I get it. Mhm. All right, what do y'all think? If you're okay with that, let's have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the retirement applications of those 4 individuals.
Thanks, Pete.
Second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right, moving on to the 26-27 calendar discussion.
Yeah, so with a calendar, we have the discussion, then ultimately after this, if there is no other questions or concerns, we would go ahead and make a motion for a public hearing for the next month. Melissa did provide you guys the calendar, and I want to just go ahead and dive in and discuss that a little bit further with you guys tonight. Okay, everybody have one? Great. So let me kind of orient you with what you're looking at. And I apologize if you guys are familiar with looking at these. There's some things that I think are really critical to understand. And there would be the board decides if we are going to go by instructional hours or instructional days on an annual basis. And our board and most boards across the state go with hours. So I want to reference, if you guys look at the one that says, the column that says student hours up above, and that total down below, a state minimum is 1,080 that we have to have. So we, in this proposal, are at 1104. So we are 24, 25 hours over the minimum. Our contracts that we issue to our teachers are a 190-day contract. So it's interesting that our teachers are on days, but our students are on hours. So we have to kind of balance that a little bit when we're looking at our calendar. If you reference what I'm referring to, that would be the column that says teacher days. You can see the accumulation. And you note that on the bottom it says 186. Our contracts are 190. We have 4 built-in flex days that we've instituted, and this would be, if for the 26-27, it would be the 3rd year that we do those. On your calendar, those are the yellow squares, and what we have identified is 8 days, and teachers are required to work 4 of those 8 days to total their 190 hours. I think this is a nice benefit to allow teachers some flexibility, some autonomy, and able to come in and work on various days. So that would be 2 critical elements. I have ran this through our district leadership team, and some of the feedback that I received from them is, well, first off, the state of Iowa says that we cannot start and code prior to August 23rd with students. So that is one thing that we need to make sure that we can start with pre-service days, but we can't actually start with instruction until then. Things that I think either the community and or our staff really appreciate and resonate with is the Thanksgiving, we give a week-long break for students. I think that is a really great time on that Monday and Tuesday for staff to come in for professional development. So you'll note that that is something that we have done in the past and that we will hopefully continue to do. Another thing would be spring break. We have that built in. We always try to do our very best to align it with the college institutes, specifically Iowa State. I think you and I, Iowa and Iowa State are all on the same because they're a region institute, but that would be in alignment to Iowa State's. And then something that's towards the end is if all possible, ideally we would love to be done with instruction before Memorial Day. So when you start to look at some of these criteria, it starts to really kind of pencil out what that calendar needs to be. I'm going to pause, and I guess what general questions you guys have, or what other things would you like me to elaborate on with the proposed calendar that you have in front of you?
It's nice Christmas decided to land on a Friday.
Right.
It does.
I mean,
It does help. It does.
I mean,
it makes it a little easier.
yeah.
I can tell you this calendar this year, it was a bit wonky. It was a decision of, do we come in on the Monday? Some schools went Monday, some went Tuesday. We came back on Friday. That was a mixed review. Some people particularly did not care for that. Some actually kind of liked that soft start of getting kids back in the building. The rationale for that was simply because of where Christmas fell and the decision of, do we give some students that have food insecurity 3 full weeks with no contact with adults. So yes, we are fortunate that it falls on a Friday this year.
I actually think it looks good. I have no criticism.
You need it.
The one thing that I would note too would be is just the way that May falls. There is 5 Mondays. So Memorial Day is the Monday the 31st. We typically would do graduation the week prior to Memorial. The way that this calendar falls, it's actually 2 weeks. It's that Sunday, it would be Sunday the 16th would be commencement. But that is in pretty tight alignment with what we have historically done with commencement with our students. Any other questions for me?
All right, awesome. And remember, we're not approving this. We're just setting the public hearing so we can hear from the community what they think. So that's all we're doing tonight. So if I could get a motion to set that hearing. That would be awesome.
So moved.
Thanks, Earl.
I'll second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the at-risk dropout prevention MSA application.
So last month, we brought to you guys our dropout prevention program. It was kind of our handbook. It really talked about what we are going to do and how we're going to support students. With this, what this allows us to do is that is programming that is associated in making sure that that at-risk program runs successfully. We need to staff that program, and staffing costs money. This simply is an application and a request from MSA Modified Supplemental Aid to allow us the authority to be able to get the dollars needed to run our at-risk program.
Can I ask how many students are in our at-risk?
49.
Okay.
And are any of those open enrolled? Or they all?
I don't know. I get the
That could
number
be a
from
mix.
the teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, it would
Whoever
be
is there.
all students that are, once they're in, and if they meet any of those at-risk criteria, then they would be in that program.
But we can get funds regardless of if they're.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Great question.
Any other questions about that? All right. I will take a motion.
Absolutely. Right? Can I say
Yeah,
that?
yes, yes, thank you, Lauren.
I'll second that.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Oh, gun shy today. What's going on? Municipal advisory agreement. All right, here's the money stuff. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
So for this, we have worked with Piper Sandler in the past, and really what this municipal advisory service agreement is allows them to be able to be the municipal advisor with respects to the capital loan for the 2026. It allows them basically to be able to kind of represent. So that's
It
really
actually, it goes beyond that. It's just their ability to represent us in any financial
capacity.
capacity.
Oh.
Schools that aren't even going through bonds right now are renewing their advisor agreements with Piper Sandler. So
Oh, okay. So even outside the scope of the bond.
even outside the scope of the bond, this is just us partnering with them to work on our behalf.
And I assume you've been happy with them for the past 6 weeks.
So this is my third year here, and every time I have a question, quick to respond, very professional. Melissa can kind of expand maybe upon her experience prior to me being here, but it's been nothing but top notch for the 3 years that I've been here.
Yeah, their advice is always very sound, and they do a great job for working on our behalf.
All right, if there are no other questions, I'll take a motion about that first component.
I'll make a motion to approve the municipal advisory agreement by person.
Thanks, Pete.
Second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle, Merritt.
Yes. All right, the next part is the dissemination agent addendum.
Yeah, so this would then ultimately allow Piper Sandler to go ahead and share our information and disseminate that to the marketplace. So that really is giving them the authority to be able to go out and do that for us.
Were there any questions after y'all read through that? Everybody good with that? All right, I'll take a motion to approve that piece.
I move that we approve this dissemination agent addendum with Piper Sandler.
I'll second that.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay. Resolution fixing the date of sale, approving electronic bidding procedures, and approving the official statement.
Yeah, there's a lot in that action item F. I broke it up into three kind of parts for us. The first would be that resolution set for February 9th. That's the official sale of the Pepple note. So what ultimately will happen is pending the approval tonight, it will go out to prospective bid on January 19th, is what Piper Sandler had said. They will go ahead and send that out to different groups and agencies, and then on February 9th at 1 o'clock, they will actually have secured the people that are bidding for that bond. And that coincides with our next board meeting. So that is really setting that resolution for us then to conduct on February 9th. They will have opened up those bids and we will be presenting and making a recommendation on who won that bid. That's the first portion of this. The second portion is they have found that electronic bidding, that's the parity letter portion, is much easier process for everybody. So you guys are allowing the authority or the ability for people to use electronic bidding with that element in F. And then the last thing is we have been working behind the scenes with our attorneys, Allers and Coonies, Melissa and I, as well as Piper Sandler and Standard & Poor, S&P, giving us a rating. There was a preliminary official statement that basically just talks about our financials. Where are we at? Do people that are going to be bidding on these bonds, do they think this is a favorable, a wise financial decision to invest in us? And that ultimately, we've shared that with you guys, and you guys have had a while to look at that. It is about a 45-page document. It's a pretty comprehensive view of where we are at. As you guys saw, I'm ecstatic to share with you guys that we got an A+ rating. So when you're looking at that Standards and Poor, it is the best rating that a school district can get, except for if it were maybe a good financial position and significantly increasing enrollment is what Piper and Sandler has told us. So really ecstatic about that. Ultimately, what he said is that should be favorable for us because people are more enticed to hopefully bid on our bond. He thought anywhere from 3 to 5 would be okay. He may be even optimistic that we might even get a little bit more. And with that competition, hopefully we get a better interest rate, which ultimately could mean that we could maybe secure more dollars on the back end. So ultimately, with all of that information, that is the action item F, kind of bunched in with 3 different critical portions.
So with the 4.88 million, if the bond bids come in and it's a lower than expected interest rate, we tend to want to take potentially more bond money or a lesser payment.
Melissa and I actually put the bond payment at something that we felt comfortable with. So if we were able to have a lower interest rate and secure more dollars to be able to do more projects, that would be the position that I would be in.
Good question. Any other questions?
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution fixing the date of sale, approving electronic bidding procedures, and approving the official statement.
Oof.
I will second that.
Britton? Yes. Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. Okay, so with that, we had to add some policies. Joshua, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so when we started down this process, Allers and Coonies is our legal counsel, and they were just kind of looking and making sure that we had everything that we needed to in policy. And our attorney advised that we needed to add 2 additional policies and or kind of revise them. And that is really what was in your packet, that 704-2R1 and then the 704-2R2. One of them was the post-issuance compliance regulations. That ultimately just outlines the requirements of the board treasurer. and what they need to do post issuance of the bond. And then the bond disclosure really identifies what the board treasurer, as compliance, needs to kind of be doing, identifies roles and responsibilities. So I think those were just some modifications and or additions that our legal counsel has provided us and asked us to add.
So our board treasurer, that's
me.
Melissa, correct?
That's
Were you
Melissa.
comfortable with everything? You
Yeah,
put there? Okay.
it's what's required by law
Law.
anyway. It's just putting it into policy.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll take a motion on that one.
I'll make the motion for the first reading of policy 704.2 R1 and new policy 704.2 R2.
I'll second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor, Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
All right, and then our usual policy review. Let's see. This looks pretty standard too. Did anybody have any comments about that? Did you have any comments, Joshua? About
No,
this?
just as well, the first policy that we reviewed tonight really talks about that we need to review policy every 5 years.
Right, I thought
Hence
that
the
was-
reason why we're doing this. We're in the 200 series. We're just following some board policy and just making sure that we're reviewing them as per our policy would say.
the policy that word. Seems ironic. Sorry. All right, let's get that one out the way then. If there is nothing further.
I'll make a motion for the first and final reading of policies 209.6 through 210.7 R1. I am. Is there a niner in there?
Second.
Britton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes, you saw Earl quickly seconded so we could behave. Thank you, my dear. All right, public comments. Long time no see, Jared.
You bet.
What do you got for us?
First off, this is an excellent school district. At least very good. But the difference between very good and excellent is going to be found in the details. That's kind of some of the things, that's my preface to where I'm going with this tonight. We currently cooperate with DMAC on some dual credit classes, specifically composition 2. Some of the content of what they're using for curriculum, which is specifically a book right now called The Purple Hibiscus, I find outside of the parameters of acceptable for public education. I'm not the authority in that, but I'm asking you guys to look specifically at a couple of your policies, 603.9R, or 603.9, 603.9R1, 605.1, and 605.1R1, just to see where that fits in, how that works, what are we following what we have for policy. There's a lot of subjectivity in this just because of how that's set up. But I'm just doing my due diligence, not just as a parent, but also as a taxpayer. I don't know this conclusively yet, but I have asked the question, are the books that we're purchased with taxpayer dollars? So that's one of my concerns, bigger than just a parent. Also, my daughter is in that class currently. That's what kind of brings that to my attention. She sent home with that last week. I checked it out. It's less than desirable in my opinion. It definitely, you guys know I'm extremely conservative. This is an extremely liberal type of promotion, and then tying some of the board policies in there, the both sides kind of things that should or could be taught. I mean, it's in our policy. Specifically in this, it appears to be explicitly anti-Christianity, anti-Catholicism. There's some other tones inside the book as well that are concerning, but I wanted to at least call those couple things out because they mean something.
Could you slow down on those reference points to board policy so I can write it
Do you want
down?
me to just email them to you guys?
Or you,
I have
See-
them. I have them all shared.
you wrote all that down that fast?
Can we put,
How did you do that?
it's the difference between men and women. And it's okay.
All right. Rebecca, you didn't have a chance to sign in, but did you have something that you wanted to say? I wanted to give you a chance.
Sure. Well, I just did a little research on this particular book because I'm a mom and I love books and I love getting kids more books in the hands of kids, but they also have to be obviously appropriate content wise. And so I power read that whole book last night. So if anybody has any questions about my opinion about any of these, I can give it. But there were some very specific content concerns. The overall theme is specifically anti-Christian, anti-Catholic. It is not subtle. It is every chapter. The villain of the story is specifically both devout Christian and also an abuser. In fact, in the content, he abuses his wife so badly that she miscarries twice. So at one scene, they have the main character, I think it's because she didn't get first on her school test. So she's a high school level student in Nigeria. And he has her stand in the bathtub and he pours scalding hot water on her feet to punish her. And he does that with her brother as well. So these are very explicit content concerns. Some of them are more worldview specific, and some of them are just concerns about how graphically we're presenting themes of violence, themes of domestic abuse. They are graphic. There's some political undertones as well, although that seems to take a bit of a backseat to some of the more religious questions. But I'm not the type that likes to react just out of hand or off of the Google summary, so I actually read and listened to the whole book. Which I think is appropriate. Now, my question would be, since we have these perhaps different levels, obviously Ogden is responsible for what's going on in Ogden classrooms, and then there's state law that applies to that, so I'm somewhat familiar with that. But my question is, like Jared pointed out, what about when we have questions of jurisdiction, as it were, when we have DMAC classes that are being administered in Ogden classrooms to Ogden students and paid for by Ogden taxpayers and, in Ogden households? So what are the appropriate ways to help manage that, to speak into that? If parents have concerns, are they just out of luck if they sign a waiver or something at the beginning of the class in more or less a position of ignorance, not knowing everything that's going to go on in the class? Do they have any recourse as to complaints? Are there options given? Are there multiple perspectives being offered? Particularly to 14, 15-year-old students, yes, they want the credit that comes along with that. That's a real benefit. I understand that. But I think parents should still have some agency to be able to speak into students when they have content concerns of a 14-year-old being taught at a college level course. There's also some maybe potentially inappropriate content they would be coming into contact with that parents don't know about when they're signing that waiver at the beginning. So that would be what I would thoughtfully ask you guys to consider as a parent, Ogden taxpayer, just concerned citizen who loves books but wants kids to have good and appropriate exposure and tutelage to help them develop a love of reading, but also not get into areas that they're not prepared for or that their parents are very uncomfortable with. That's all.
Great. Thank you both for your perspective.
Rebecca, what's your last name?
Haney.
Haney, Haynide.
Obviously it's not on the agenda, so we won't be taking any action on this, but I do just want to, for information's sake, for the public to know, I do just want to say a couple things. Firstly, it is ambiguous. We know that, and so we've addressed that the best that we can with our policies. Some of them new, actually, so, and procedures, I guess, because I'm not sure that that's a policy, but there is an acknowledgement to say, like, just know that your student will be having college curriculum that we are not necessarily over, I guess, is the best way to say it. But then beyond that, kind of to your point, Rebecca, there is a procedure actually, and any curriculum concerns need to start at the classroom level. And that's just a very clear policy that this district has held for many years. I mean, I know some of you know that. So when it comes to this kind of thing, I mean, we obviously want your perspective and we're so glad to hear it, but that's an administrative process that needs to start at the classroom level. And so I just would anticipate that those concerns are probably working their way through that process. So. Board calendar.
Yeah, the board calendar I did want to mention on a negotiating year, typically we would bring our finance committee together in the end of January or prior to our February. We are in a non-negotiation year. So one of the things that we discuss is we don't know what SSA is yet. We don't know what our insurance renewal is. Would the finance committee still want to come, or do you want a few of those data points to making sure that we are using our time efficiently when we are coming in with our finance subcommittee?
I just don't feel like there's a lot of unknowns yet for what we would talk about this time of year. So in late February we'd have all of that information locked in, knowing insurance renewals and how that affects certified budget coming up, and SSA hopefully by that point too. That's finance, right?
I don't remember.
I'm gonna be quite frank, I don't know.
I think it's Matt and Pete. Does
It's
anybody
in the
know?
agenda.
That sounds right.
Not me.
Does
So,
anybody
first
know their
time.
committee?
Usually just
so
facilitate.
that seems fair.
This
I mean,
February
Yeah.
seemed reasonable.
So are you okay with once we get one or two of those data points, then I can request a finance subcommittee meeting and the four of us will join?
sounds great.
Okay. If that happens, I'm not optimistic that we will have SSA. We might maybe have our insurance renewal, but it may be after the February meeting. It would just be maybe 1 month off of what our posted calendar is.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Great.
Seems stressful. Yep.
I know. I don't know.
And right when it matters or not. Not that it doesn't always matter.
Excellent.
Oh, are you? Double. All right. You have the floor, sir.
Just wanted to note, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but the legislative session started today. So our governor will be actually giving her speak tomorrow night, I believe. This starts the 110 days. It really kind of depends on are they able to finish all their business and everything done. You guys I'm going to break down school finance to the most basic element possible, but enrollment is critical. But equal to enrollment is SSA, state supplemental aid. And every year during legislative session, they will go ahead, and that's basically the percent of increase that we will get based off of our per pupil enrollment. If you guys are out advocating, that's one of the best things we can do for our schools and our health is to advocate for a strong SSA. And I'm not, I want to be reasonable when we're asking for that. One of the things that I recently read by another superintendent would be, let's use the consumer price index. And that is ultimately the rate of inflation. And right now that is at 2.6. So we are seeing inflation with giving our teachers salary increases, with insurance premiums, with utility costs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that sometimes as you are advocating for schools and SSA, using that CPI as kind of a metric on where we should be, we would love more, but I think a bare minimum, that would be a good thing to advocate for.
Can you give me the last 5 years? How close has the state been to that?
It's been below the CPI.
Okay.
I think typically we have been in that 2 to 2.25 range. I think there was 1 year that we were a little bit over. We had a 3, but typically it has been below the CPI, consumer price index.
And it's just a number they set. Is that true? It's not based on some type of index.
That's a great question.
Okay.
Speaking to some veteran superintendents, they used to, and this was many moons ago, they would actually use the CPI. And that's where we were seeing, 4% increases, 5% increases. And they went away from that. I'm not sure what year. I think they are looking at a lot of different things on how much do they have in reserves, how much is the revenue. They're balancing a budget just as you guys are too. But that's just one thing that I just wanted to mention, that the legislative session is going. And if you are talking to anybody, just to advocate for what I think that we deserve.
When you met with Dean and Green, did they give you any picture of what they're looking at, or maybe you can talk about it?
Yeah, we had a great conversation last week. The number of Boone superintendents met with our legislators and just kind of talking about what's on the docket, some of the things that they're going to be advocating for, and they wanted to hear from us, from the field. What are some things that are concerns, and what might they be able to advocate on our behalf? I think we came in with the worst case scenario, and who knows what that will be. But they kind of reassured us a little bit more that it would be a little bit higher than what we were anticipating. So I don't want to speak for Mr. Green or Mr. Bean and or put them in the position that they just simply don't know. They are one vote of many, but the conversation that we had was very productive, and I'm cautiously optimistic. And then the last thing that I just wanted to mention would be I have requested our facility subcommittee come together. You know, in December, we actually did have a work session to talk about our parking lot. They are heavily involved in doing the final design aspect. They've talked to electricians. They've been out, and they will be able to have that initial design complete to be able to bring it through our facility subcommittee, and that would be on January 23rd. If they can bring that information earlier, I would request a special meeting. And the rationale for that is if we can move that up before our February 9th, is it February 9th or 8th, our regular? If we can move that up, that allows the bidding process to happen a little bit sooner. It's just a matter of can we hit those dates? I think the worst case scenario, we would be bringing the final design for board approval of the parking lot at our regular February meeting. But hopeful that we'll be able to maybe bring it up earlier. And I am going to run that through facility subcommittee. That is all that I had for my superintendent's comments.
All right. Did anybody have any questions or comments?
I just want to make sure that everyone hears how much I appreciate Joshua handling the men in locker room situation and putting it out that this is the law, this is what we're going to obey. So I just think there's a lot of integrity, a lot of character, and just really, probably will prevent some kind of a situation in the future. Other schools will, if they don't obey the law, perhaps might have a situation. Who knows? But the law says this, and Joshua has followed it. So I appreciate that.
Okay. Great job. All right. Anybody else? All right. Let's go home. Anybody? I'll take a motion.
So many.
Yes.
Britton? Taylor? Thompson?
Yes.
Van Sickle?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. All right. Thanks for coming, you guys.
I was like, go. All right.
I know.